Kang Daiho stood on the bridge of the transport ship, staring at the coordinates on the screen. Something felt wrong. After 12 years of military service, he had learned to trust his instincts. They had saved his life more times than he could count. "Commander, we're approaching the station," said Park Jiwoo from the pilot's seat. Jiwoo had been Daiho's friend since basic training. They had fought together, bled together, and saved each other's lives on at least 6 different planets. Daiho nodded slowly. The mission briefing had been simple. Too simple. The Coalition Command wanted them to investigate an old research station near the Helix Nebula. Reports said the station had been abandoned for years, but new energy signatures suggested someone was using it again. "Probably pirates or smugglers. Get the team ready," Daiho said. "Full combat gear." "I don't like this." Behind them, 8 other soldiers prepared their equipment. They were the best humanity had to offer. Each one had been chosen for their skills and their loyalty. They had completed 43 missions together without losing a single member. The station grew larger in the viewport. It was a massive structure, built by an ancient alien race that had disappeared centuries ago. Its metal surface was covered in strange symbols that nobody could read anymore. Parts of it were dark and damaged, but other sections still glowed with power. "Scanning now," said Jiwoo, his fingers moving across the controls. "I'm getting some weird readings." "Energy levels are all over the place," Daiho frowned. "Define weird. Like someone's been messing with the power core. Or maybe several power cores." Jiwoo looked back at him. "Commander, this doesn't match the briefing. There's enough energy here to power a small city." The communication system crackled to life. "Transport 7, this is Coalition Command. Proceed with boarding as planned." Daiho reached for the microphone. "Command, we're reading unusual energy signatures. Request permission to perform extended scans before boarding." There was a pause. Too long of a pause. "Negative, Transport 7. You are ordered to board immediately. Time is critical." Daiho's jaw tightened. In all his years of service, Command had never denied a reasonable safety request. "Never, Jiwoo," he said quietly. "Get us out of here." Jiwoo's hands moved toward the controls, but then the ship shuddered violently. Alarms screamed throughout the cabin. Red lights flashed on every panel. "We're caught in a tractor beam." Jiwoo shouted over the noise. "I can't break free." The ship lurched forward, pulled toward the station against its will. Daiho grabbed the command chair to steady himself. His team secured themselves to their seats, checking their weapons. "All hands prepare for forced boarding," Daiho commanded. His voice was calm despite the chaos. "Stay together. Watch your corners. Something is very wrong here." The ship crashed into the station's docking port with a bone-rattling impact. Metal groaned and shrieked. Then silence. Daiho led his team into the station, their weapons raised. The corridor was dark except for emergency lights that flickered weakly. The air smelled old and stale. "Spread out," Daiho ordered. 2-man teams. "Stay in radio contact." They moved through the station carefully, clearing room after room. Everything was empty. No pirates. No smugglers. Just abandoned equipment and dust. "Commander," Jiwoo's voice came through the radio. "I found something. You need to see this." Daiho made his way to Jiwoo's position. His friend stood in front of a large computer terminal that was still active. Data scrolled across the screen in multiple alien languages. "Can you read any of this?" Daiho asked. "Some of it." Jiwoo's face had gone pale. "Daiho, this is a trap. The station is rigged to explode. There are charges placed throughout the entire structure." Daiho's blood ran cold. "How long do we have?" "According to this, we don't. The countdown should have finished 3 minutes ago." Jiwoo looked at him with wide eyes. "Why hasn't it blown yet?" The answer came through their radio, but not from one of their team members. It was a voice Daiho didn't recognize. The accent was Vren, one of the major alien species in the Coalition. "Because we wanted to see your faces first, humans." The voice was filled with satisfaction. "You have been a problem for too long. Always pushing, always demanding respect you haven't earned. Today, that ends. This is an act of war," Daiho said, his finger hovering over the transmit button. The Coalition approved this mission," the voice interrupted. "Not all of them, of course, but enough. Enough who understand that humanity is dangerous. You learn too fast. You adapt too quickly. In another century, you would challenge us for control. We cannot allow that." Daiho felt a cold rage building in his chest. "You're going to murder 10 soldiers and start a war?" "No war, just an unfortunate accident." A tragic explosion at an abandoned station. These things happen. The voice paused. Your ambassador will cry. Your people will mourn. And in a few months, everyone will forget. Goodbye, Phantom. The transmission ended. Deho turned to Jiwoo. Get everyone back to the ship. Now, but it was too late. The station shook as the first charges detonated. The explosion ripped through the lower levels, racing upward through the structure. The floor buckled beneath their feet. Run! Deho shouted. His team sprinted for the ship, but explosions chased them through the corridors. Walls collapsed. Fire bloomed in the oxygen-rich atmosphere. One by one, Deho heard his team members scream and then go silent on the radio. Jiwoo was ahead of him, almost to the docking port. Then a massive explosion tore through the wall beside him. Deho watched in horror as his best friend was thrown into space through the breach. The blast wave hit Deho a second later. He felt himself flying, tumbling through the air. There was a moment of crushing pain, and then he was in space. Cold, silent, alone. His suit was damaged. Alarms told him he was losing oxygen and pressure. His left arm wasn't responding. Through his cracked helmet, he could see the station tearing itself apart in a series of brilliant explosions. He tried to activate his distress beacon. It was working. He could see coalition ships nearby. They would save him. They had to, but the ships turned away. One by one, they jumped to hyperspace and left him behind. Deho's vision started to fade. The cold was inside him now, shutting down his body system by system. He thought about Jiwoo, about his team, about Ambassador Yoon Mi-young, who had fought so hard for humanity's place in the stars. He thought about betrayal. His last thought before everything went dark was simple. They will pay. His body tumbled through space, surrounded by debris and silence. His suit's life signs showed a flat line. The oxygen counter hit 0. Far away on coalition ships and space stations, people watched the feeds from the disaster. They saw the human soldiers die. They saw Commander Kang Deho's body floating lifelessly in the void. The galaxy believed the Phantom was dead. They were wrong. 6 months had passed since the explosion at the Helix Nebula. Ambassador Yoon Mi-young stood in her office looking out at the stars. She had delivered the eulogy for Commander Kang Deho and his team. She had shaken hands with coalition officials who expressed their sympathies. She had smiled when they called Deho a hero, but she didn't believe the official story. Not for a second. Her computer chimed with an incoming message. It was encrypted with a code she hadn't seen in years, a military code that only a few people knew. Most of them were dead. She opened the file. Inside were detailed reports about Vren military movements, classified information that shouldn't exist outside their high command. At the bottom was a simple signature. PP for Phantom. Mi-young's hands trembled as she closed the file. It was impossible. She had seen the footage. She had watched Deho's life signs go flat. But this information was real, and someone was sending it to her. She made a call to the one person who might help her find the truth. Lee Taejin arrived at her office 3 hours later. He was a thin man with sharp eyes and quick hands. He had worked in coalition intelligence before retiring to a quiet life on a human colony. But Mi-young knew that people like Taejin never truly retired. You sounded worried on the phone, Taejin said, sitting across from her desk. What's going on? Mi-young showed him the files. She watched his expression change from curiosity to shock. This is impossible, Taejin said. Deho is dead. I saw the reports myself. Then who sent me classified Vren intelligence? Mi-young asked. Who signed it with his call sign? Taejin was quiet for a long moment. You want me to investigate. I need to know the truth. If there's any chance he's alive, Mi-young trailed off. Can you do it quietly? I can try. Taejin stood up. But if someone is using Deho's identity, we need to know who and why. Give me 2 weeks, it took him less than 1. Taejin found the first clue in the Coalition's classified archives. The official report said Deho's body had been recovered and given a military funeral. But when Taejin dug deeper, he found something strange. The body had never been brought back to human space. It had been cremated immediately on a Coalition medical ship. No witnesses, no verification, just ashes in a sealed container. The second clue came from a salvage crew operating near the Helix Nebula. They had pulled something from the debris field the day after the explosion. When Taejin asked what it was, they refused to talk. One of them finally broke after Taejin offered enough money. It was a biopod, the salvager said. Medical grade. Life support was failing, but there was someone inside, alive. Who? Taejin demanded. Don't know. Didn't see a face. Someone paid us a lot of money to forget we ever found it. Taejin's investigation led him in circles until he heard about the Reaper. The story started small, whispered in bars and trading posts across the outer rim. A figure in black armor. Silent, fast, deadly. Pirate bases were being destroyed. Not by coalition forces, but by a single operative who struck without warning and left no survivors. The only thing found at these sites was a small emblem, a phantom symbol that matched Daeho's unit insignia. Taejin shared his findings with Myung. They both knew what it meant, but neither wanted to say it out loud. Across the galaxy, Kim Sola was having her own encounter with the legend. Sola was a pilot, young and reckless, running cargo between the legal and illegal sides of the law. She didn't ask questions about what she carried. She just flew fast and got paid. That philosophy almost got her killed near the outer belt. She was carrying medical supplies to a mining colony when 3 Vren interceptors surrounded her ship. They didn't hail her. They didn't ask her to surrender. They just opened fire. Sola's ship was fast but lightly armed. She couldn't fight 3 military vessels. She dodged and weaved through the asteroid field, but they were closing in. One more hit and her engines would fail. Then something impossible happened. A black ship appeared from behind an asteroid, moving faster than anything Sola had ever seen. It slammed into the first Vren interceptor, tearing through its hull like paper. Before the other 2 could react, the black ship fired precisely placed shots that disabled their weapons and engines. The whole fight lasted less than 30 seconds. Sola's radio crackled. A voice spoke, distorted by filters. "Clear out now. Who are you?" Sola asked. The black ship was already moving away. "Someone who still believes in protecting the innocent. Don't make me regret it." The ship vanished into the darkness between the stars. Sola sat in her cockpit, hands shaking on the controls. She had heard the stories about the Reaper, but she had thought they were just myths. Now she knew better. She became obsessed with finding him again. Meanwhile, the Vren Empire was panicking. Their military convoys were disappearing. Their bases were being destroyed. They deployed hunter squads to track down the Reaper, but every squad sent after him never came back. The other alien empires took notice. Whispered conversations happened in the Coalition Council chambers. Who was this Reaper? Why was he targeting the Vren? And most importantly, was he human? The Vren demanded action from the Coalition. They wanted human space lockdown. They wanted investigations into human military activities. They claimed that humanity was harboring a terrorist. Ambassador Myung stood before the council and defended her people. "You have no proof this Reaper is human," she said. "You have no proof of anything except your own failures to maintain security." A Vren counselor stood, his forearms gesturing angrily. "The Reaper uses human tactics, human weapons, human technology. Who else could it be? Perhaps someone trained by your own military?" Myung suggested coldly. "The Vren have trained many species in combat over the centuries." The argument continued for hours. In the end, the council agreed to investigate, but they refused to take action against humanity without proof. Myung returned to her office and found another message waiting. This one contained something new. Video footage from inside a Vren military base during an attack. The footage showed the Reaper moving through corridors, taking down guards with brutal efficiency. But there was something in the footage that made Myung's breath catch. The way the Reaper moved, the tactics he used. She had seen them before, years ago, when she had watched Daeho train his team. Her door opened. Taejin walked in without knocking. "I found something," he said. "There's a woman who keeps appearing at locations where the Reaper has been spotted. A pilot named Kim Sola. She's been asking questions about him." "Find her," Myung said. "Bring her to me." Quietly. Taejin nodded and left. Myung looked at the video footage again. She paused it on a frame where the Reaper's armor caught the light. There, barely visible, was a scratch on the chest plate. She had seen that same scratch before on Daeho's armor, from a mission on the ice planet of Arcturus IV. The Phantom wasn't dead. He was hunting, and the galaxy was about to learn what happened when humanity's greatest warrior stopped playing by the rules. In a hidden base somewhere in the darkness between stars, a figure in black armor removed his helmet. Kang Daeho's face was scarred now, with visible metal implants along his jaw and temple. His left eye glowed with a faint blue light, cybernetic enhancement. He looked at the list of names on his screen. Friend officials, corrupt coalition members, everyone who had been involved in the conspiracy to murder him and his team. He had crossed out 3 names so far. There were 17 more to go. Daiho put his helmet back on and prepared for the next mission. The Reaper had work to do. Kim Sola found him on a black market station called The Drift. It was a floating city built from the corpses of dead ships, a place where criminals and smugglers gathered beyond the reach of coalition law. She had tracked the Reaper's movements for 2 months. Every destroyed Vren base, every attacked convoy, she mapped them all. The pattern led here. Sola walked through the station's crowded markets, her hand resting on the pistol at her hip. The air smelled like oil and recycled oxygen. Music from a dozen different worlds mixed into a chaotic noise. She found him in an abandoned cargo bay on the station's lower level. The Reaper stood with his back to her, working on his ship, a sleek black vessel that looked built for speed and violence. "I know you've been following me," the Reaper said without turning around. His voice was filtered through his helmet, mechanical and cold. "Stop. I need to talk to you," Sola said, trying to keep her voice steady. "No." The Reaper continued working on his ship. "You saved my life," Sola insisted. "I just want to know why." The Reaper finally turned to look at her. His armor was matte black, covered in small scratches and dents from combat. The helmet had no face, just a smooth surface that reflected her own image back at her. "Wrong place, wrong time for you," he said. "Right place, right time for me, nothing more." Sola stepped closer. "You're human. I can tell by the way you move, by the weapons you carry." She pointed at his rifle. "That's a modified Coalition Special Forces weapon. I've seen them before." "You should leave," the Reaper said. There was a warning in his voice. "The Vren are hunting you. The whole council is talking about you. They're calling you a terrorist." Sola crossed her arms. "But you're not, are you? You're targeting specific people. Vren military officials, corrupt coalition members, you're fighting a war." The Reaper was silent for a long moment. Then he picked up his helmet and turned away. "This doesn't concern you. It concerns every human," Sola shouted. "You're making us all look dangerous. The council is talking about sanctions against human space. You're going to start a war." "Good," the Reaper said simply. "They started it first." Before Sola could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. A voice boomed over the speakers in the Vren language. The Reaper's posture changed immediately. He grabbed his weapons and moved toward his ship. "They found me. You need to leave. Now." "Who found you?" Sola asked, but she already knew the answer. "The Crimson Vanguard." The Reaper was securing equipment, preparing for a fight. "Elite Vren hunters. They don't take prisoners." Explosions rocked the station. Through the cargo bay windows, Sola could see Vren attack ships docking at multiple ports. Soldiers in red armor poured into the station, killing everyone in their path. "Why are they killing civilians?" Sola asked in horror. "Because they're Vren," the Reaper said, "and because they want to make sure I have nowhere to hide." He looked at her. "Can you fly?" "Better than most," Sola said. "Then get to your ship and run. I'll buy you time." The Reaper moved toward the exit, but Sola grabbed his arm. "Come with me. My ship is fast. We can both escape." "No." The Reaper pulled free. "They came here because of me. These people are dying because of me. I won't run." He was gone before Sola could argue. She watched through the window as the Reaper entered the station's main corridor. Vren soldiers saw him and opened fire. The Reaper moved like water, dodging and weaving between shots. His own weapons fired with perfect accuracy. Every shot found a target. Sola ran to her ship. She didn't want to abandon the Reaper, but she couldn't help him by dying. As her ship lifted off from the docking port, she activated her cameras to record what happened next. The battle lasted 12 minutes. The Reaper fought through 3 levels of the station, taking down Vren soldiers with brutal efficiency. He used the environment as a weapon. Explosive cargo, electrical systems, even the station's artificial gravity. Bodies fell around him, but there were too many. Eventually, they cornered him in a large cargo hold. 20 Vren soldiers surrounded him, their weapons trained on his position. Through her ship's cameras, Sola watched as the Reaper stood in the center of the room. He was wounded. She could see damage to his armor, sparks from damaged systems. A Vren commander stepped forward. "Surrender, human. You have fought well, but this ends now." The Reaper's response was to reload his weapon. The Vren commander made a gesture. His soldiers opened fire all at once, the cargo hold filled with weapons fire and explosions. When the smoke cleared, the Reaper was down. Sola felt her heart sink. She had been wrong. The Reaper wasn't invincible after all. He was just a man, and he had finally been killed. But then something happened that made her gasp. The Reaper stood up. His armor was heavily damaged. Parts of it had been blown away, revealing what was underneath. Sola zoomed in her cameras and saw the truth. The Reaper wasn't fully human anymore. His body was augmented with advanced cybernetics. Metal and synthetic muscle showed through the gaps in his armor. The Vren soldiers backed away in fear. Their commander shouted orders, but panic had already set in. The Reaper moved faster than before. Whatever limiters had been holding him back were gone now. He tore through the remaining soldiers like a storm. His movements were impossible, too fast, too strong, too perfect. In 30 seconds, every Vren soldier in that room was dead or unconscious. The Reaper stood among the bodies, his damaged armor smoking. Then he looked up directly at Sola's ship, directly at her camera. For a moment, she was sure he knew she was watching. Then he vanished into the shadows of the station. Sola saved the recording and jumped her ship to hyperspace. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely work the controls. What had she just witnessed? What was the Reaper? She needed answers. She needed help. She sent a message to the only person who might understand, Ambassador Yoon Mi-young. 3. Days later, Sola met with Ambassador Mi-young and Lee Taijin in a secure location on a neutral station. She showed them the recording from the drift. They watched in silence. When it ended, Mi-young's face was pale. "That's impossible," Taijin whispered. "Those augmentations, that level of enhancement, the Coalition banned that kind of technology decades ago." "Someone built it anyway," Mi-young said. She looked at Sola. "You said you tracked his movements. Where did the pattern start?" Sola pulled up her data. The first confirmed Reaper sighting was here, at a salvage station near the Outer Rim. A place called Hanul's Rest. Taijin's eyes widened. "Choi Hanul. I thought she was dead." "Who?" Sola asked. "A brilliant engineer," Mi-young explained. "She left human space 15 years ago after the Coalition shut down her research into cybernetic enhancement. They said it was too dangerous, too close to creating super soldiers. She disappeared. If anyone could save someone from the injuries Daiho must have suffered." Taijin trailed off. "If anyone could rebuild him into what we just saw." "We need to find her," Mi-young said. "She's the key to understanding what happened, and maybe the key to stopping this before it starts a war." They traveled to Hanul's Rest, a hidden station built into a hollowed-out asteroid. The station appeared abandoned, but sensors showed active power systems inside. When they docked, they were met by an older woman with gray hair and tired eyes. Choi Hanul looked like she hadn't slept in months. "I knew someone would find this place eventually," Hanul said. "Come inside. We don't have much time." Inside her workshop, Hanul showed them everything. The biopod where she had found Daiho, the medical equipment she had used to save his life, the cybernetic systems she had built to replace his damaged organs and limbs. "He was dead when I found him," Hanul said quietly. "Or close enough. I brought him back. I made him stronger, faster, better than any human has ever been." She looked at them with haunted eyes. "I created a monster." "He's not a monster," Mi-young said firmly. "He's a soldier who was betrayed." "He's become something else," Hanul argued. "Something I can't control. He's going to get himself killed and maybe start a war in the process." "Then help us stop him," Taijin said. Help us bring him home. Hanul was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. I'll help. But you need to understand something. Daeho didn't just survive, he changed. The trauma, the augmentations, the betrayal. It broke something inside him. The man you knew might be gone. Then we'll find out what's left, Mi-young said, and we'll remind him who he really is. They were making plans when Hanul's alarms activated. Someone was approaching the station. Multiple ships, moving fast. It's him, Hanul said, checking her sensors. Daeho's coming here, and he's not alone. There are coalition ships pursuing him. The Reaper was coming home, and he was bringing war with him. The Reaper's ship crashed through the asteroid field surrounding Hanul's rest with 3 coalition vessels in pursuit. Warning shots lit up the darkness like deadly fireworks. He wasn't trying to lose them. He was leading them somewhere specific. Inside the hidden station, alarms screamed. Hanul worked frantically at her controls while Mi-young, Taijin, and Sola prepared weapons they had found in the workshop. He's coming in fast, Hanul said, her voice tight with worry. Too fast. He's going to crash right into the docking bay. The black ship slammed into the dock with enough force to shake the entire station. Metal groaned and sparked. But the ship's pilot knew exactly what he was doing. The landing was violent but controlled. The airlock opened. The Reaper stepped out, his damaged armor still smoking from the battle at the drift. Behind him, coalition ships were taking up positions around the asteroid. Hanul, the Reaper said, his filtered voice echoing in the bay. I need repairs fast. Daeho, Hanul said softly. Stop this, please, the Reaper froze. Slowly, he turned toward the group standing in the workshop doorway. His helmet scanned each of them. Hanul, Taijin, Sola, and finally Ambassador Yoon Mi-young. You shouldn't be here, the Reaper said. Neither should you, Mi-young replied. You should be dead. We all watched you die. I did die. The Reaper's hands moved to his helmet. For a long moment, nobody breathed. Then he pulled it off. Kang Daeho's face was scarred and changed. Metal implants ran along his jaw and temple. His left eye glowed with a faint blue light. But it was still him. Still the man who had served humanity with honor for 12 years. Ambassador, Daeho said, his voice raw without the helmet's filter. You need to leave. They'll kill anyone found with me. Then they'll have to kill me too, Mi-young said firmly, because I'm not leaving without answers. Who did this to you? Who gave the order? Daeho's remaining human eye showed something. Pain, anger, maybe regret. It goes higher than you think. Vren High Command. 3 coalition council members. Even some humans who thought we were moving too fast, demanding too much respect. Taijin stepped forward. We found the evidence. The messages you sent to the ambassador. We know about the conspiracy. Come back with us. We'll expose them legally. We'll use the law to get justice. Daeho laughed, but there was no humor in it. The law? The law abandoned me. The law watched me die and did nothing. He gestured to his cybernetic augmentations. I spent 6 months learning to be human again. Learning to walk. To use these metal hands without crushing everything I touched. And every day I remembered my team, Jiwoo, all of them, dead because the law decided we were too dangerous to live. So you became what they feared, Sola said quietly. You proved them right. Daeho looked at her, really looked at her for the first time. Who are you? Someone you saved. Someone who's been trying to understand why. Sola pulled out a data chip. I recorded your fight at the drift. I saw what you can do. I saw what you've become, and I'm going to show the galaxy. No, Hanul shouted. If that recording gets out, they'll hunt every human with cybernetic enhancement. They'll use it as an excuse to crack down on all human augmentation research. Good, Daeho said coldly. Let them try. Let them be afraid. Fear is the only thing species like the Vren understand. Mi-young moved between them, her voice sharp. Is that what Jiwoo would want? Would he want you throwing away everything we've built? Everything we've fought for? Daeho's jaw tightened. Don't use his name. Why not? He was my friend too. He believed in peace. In proving humanity's worth through honor, not fear. Mi-young stepped closer to Daeho. He died believing in a better future. Are you going to make his death meaningless? Before Daeho could answer, the station shook violently. Explosion alarms blared. They're firing on us, Hanul said, checking her screens. The coalition ships. They're trying to destroy the station. Taijin ran to the windows. It's not the coalition ships, look. Vren vessels had arrived. Massive warships painted in blood red. The Crimson Vanguard's fleet. They were firing on everything, the coalition ships, the asteroid, the hidden station. They found me, Deho said, already moving toward his ship. They've been tracking me. I led them right here. We need to evacuate, Hunnell said urgently. Everyone to the ships, now! Deho grabbed his helmet but didn't put it on yet. He looked at Myung. Get everyone out. I'll hold them off. No, Myung said. No more suicide missions. No more sacrifices. We fight together or we die together. Another explosion rocked the station. Through the windows they could see Vren boarding pods launching toward them. Dozens of elite soldiers coming to finish what they had started at the Helix Nebula. Deho made a decision. He turned to Taejin. Can you fly the ambassador's ship? Yes, Taejin said. Then get her and the pilot out of here. Take Hanil too. Deho pulled data chips from his armor and handed them to Myung. Everything is on these. Every name. Every transaction. Every order that led to the Helix Nebula. Broadcast it. Show the galaxy the truth. What about you? Sola asked. Deho smiled, and it was a terrible thing to see. I'm going to teach the Vren why they should have killed me when they had the chance. The first Vren soldiers breached the station. Deho put on his helmet and became the Reaper again. He moved toward the fight without looking back. Myung grabbed his arm. Deho, come back alive. That's an order. He nodded once, then was gone. The battle that followed would be talked about for years across the galaxy. The Reaper fought with impossible skill, holding an entire station against waves of Vren elite soldiers. He used every trick Hanul had built into his augmented body. He was faster than they expected, stronger than they thought possible, more determined than they could comprehend. Sola recorded everything from her ship as they fled the station. She captured the moment when Deho stood alone in a corridor, surrounded by 30 Vren soldiers, and didn't back down. She recorded him fighting hand-to-hand with their champion, a massive warrior who had never lost a fight. She recorded Deho winning. The coalition ships that had been pursuing Deho saw what was happening. They had to make a choice: follow their orders to capture the Reaper, or help him fight against the Vren, who were clearly violating every rule of engagement by destroying a neutral station and killing civilians. One ship broke formation. Then another. They started firing on the Vren vessels. What are they doing? Sola asked, watching the battle unfold. Remembering what's right, Myung said quietly. But the Vren had too many ships, too many soldiers. Deho was holding the station, but he couldn't hold it forever. The walls were collapsing. Life support was failing. And still he fought. Hanul was crying as she watched from Sola's ship. I never should have saved him. I never should have made him into this. You gave him a second chance, Myung said. What he does with it is his choice. Suddenly, new ships appeared on the sensors. Dozens of them jumping out of hyperspace all around the battle. They weren't military vessels. They were civilian ships, freighters, transports, personal craft. Ships from every human colony in the sector. They had seen Sola's early recordings. They had heard the stories of the Reaper. And now they were coming to help one of their own. The civilian fleet opened fire on the Vren warships. Their weapons were small compared to military vessels, but there were so many of them. Like insects swarming a giant, they overwhelmed the Vren through sheer numbers and determination. Inside the station, Deho heard the radio chatter. Heard human voices calling out coordinates and targets. Heard them risking their lives for him. This is the Reaper, he transmitted on an open channel. You need to leave. I'm not worth dying for. Maybe not, a voice responded. But the idea of you is. You're proof that humans don't stay down, that we don't accept being second best, that we fight back. More voices joined in, one after another. You showed us we don't have to be afraid. You proved we're stronger than they think. You're one of us, Reaper, and we don't leave our people behind. Deho stood in the ruins of the station surrounded by fallen enemies, listening to the voices of his people. For the first time since the Helix Nebula, he felt something other than rage and pain. He felt hope. The Vren fleet, faced with unexpected resistance and mounting losses, retreated. They jumped to hyperspace, leaving their dead behind. The battle was over. Humanity had won. But more importantly, the galaxy had watched it happen. From her ship, Ambassador Myung activated her communication systems. She uploaded every file Deho had given her to the galactic network. Within minutes, the evidence spread across 1,000 worlds. The conspiracy was exposed. The names revealed. The galaxy saw the truth about the Helix Nebula. They saw what fear and prejudice had driven the Vren to do, and they saw what humanity did when backed into a corner. They didn't break. They didn't beg. They fought. In the ruins of Hanul's Rest, Deho removed his helmet again. His face was covered in sweat and blood, but he was smiling. "Jiwoo," he said quietly to the empty air. "I hope you saw that. I hope you're proud." The Phantom had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Coalition Council chambers had never been so full. Representatives from every species in the galaxy crowded into the massive hall, watching the screens that displayed the evidence Ambassador Yoon Myung had released. Messages, financial records, orders signed by high-ranking officials, all of it pointing to one terrible truth. The Helix Nebula explosion had been murder, sanctioned by members of the Coalition itself. Myung stood at the speaker's podium, her voice carrying across the chamber. "For 6 months you mourned the human soldiers who died in what you called a tragic accident. You sent condolences. You spoke of honor and sacrifice." She paused, letting her words sink in. "But some of you knew the truth. Some of you helped plan their deaths." The Vren delegation tried to speak, but the council arbiter silenced them. "The evidence will be reviewed. Those found guilty will face justice." "Justice." Myung's voice was sharp. "What justice can bring back Commander Kang Daeho's team? What justice can repair the trust you broke?" She looked directly at the Vren representatives. "You feared humanity's potential, so you tried to destroy our best and brightest. But you failed. You didn't kill Daeho. You created something far more dangerous. You created a symbol." On the screens behind her, footage played. The battle at the Drift, the fight at Hanul's Rest, most importantly, the moment when dozens of civilian ships had jumped into battle to help one human soldier. "This is what you should truly fear," Myung said. "Not our weapons, not our augmentations. Our unity, our refusal to accept defeat, our willingness to fight for each other, even when the odds are impossible." Before the council could respond, an alert sounded. A Vren military fleet had entered Coalition space, heading directly for the council station. Leading them was the Crimson Vanguard's Supreme Commander himself, Admiral Voss. The Arbiter received a transmission and his expression darkened. "The Admiral demands that Commander Kang Daeho be turned over to Vren justice immediately, or they will take him by force. He also demands that all human augmentation technology be destroyed and its use forbidden throughout Coalition space." "Let him try," said a voice from the chamber. Entrance Kang Daeho walked into the council. Chambers without his helmet. His augmented eye glowed softly in the dim light. Scars crossed his face. His armor was battered but functional. Behind him walked Taejin, Sola, and Choi Hanul. Gasps echoed through the chamber. "Dead men weren't supposed to walk into council meetings. Commander Daeho," the Arbiter said slowly. "You are alive. Disappointed?" Daeho asked. He walked to the center of the floor where everyone could see him. "I know some of you are. I was supposed to be dead, buried, forgotten, just another human who reached too high." A council member from the Keleth species stood. "You have attacked Coalition vessels, destroyed military installations, killed hundreds. You are a war criminal." "I destroyed Vren vessels and bases," Daeho corrected. "Vessels that were illegally operating. Bases that were being used for smuggling and illegal weapons development. I have all the proof if you'd like to see it." He smiled coldly. "And I killed soldiers who were trying to kill me. That's called self-defense." Another transmission came through. Admiral Voss appeared on the main screen. His forearms crossed in anger. "You speak of legality, human? You are an abomination, an aberration that violates natural law. Surrender yourself now or my fleet will destroy this station and everyone on it." The chamber erupted in chaos. Some species demanded Daeho be arrested. Others argued that the Vren had no right to make threats. A few, including some of the human representatives, called for war. Myung raised her hand for silence. When the chamber quieted, she spoke carefully. "Admiral Voss, by Coalition law, you cannot declare war without council approval. What authority do you claim here?" "The authority of strength," Voss growled. "The authority of a species that has ruled the stars for 10,000 years. We will not be threatened by humans who think cybernetic enhancement makes them our equals." "Then let's settle this properly," Daeho said. His voice was calm, almost casual. "Challenge me. Single combat. ancient tradition recognized by coalition law. If you win, you can have me. If I win, the Vren withdraw their fleet and accept the Council's judgment. The chamber fell silent. Every species in the galaxy knew about the Vren combat tradition. It was sacred to them, binding them to its outcome, but no one had challenged a Vren admiral to single combat in over a century. Admiral Voss's face twisted with rage. You dare, I dare, Deho interrupted. Unless the mighty Vren are afraid of one augmented human? Voss couldn't refuse. To do so would bring shame to his entire house, his clan, his species. I accept. We fight here now before the Council, and when I kill you, human, your people will learn their place. The Council chamber was cleared of furniture. A fighting ring was established in the center. Deho removed his damaged armor, revealing the full extent of his augmentations. His left arm was almost entirely cybernetic. Synthetic muscle and metal joints gleamed under the lights. His chest showed scars where Hanul had replaced damaged organs with artificial ones. He looked like something between human and machine. And he looked dangerous. Admiral Voss entered the ring wearing ceremonial combat armor, ancient and decorated with the honors of 1,000 battles. He was massive, twice Daiho's size, with 4 powerful arms and thick-plated skin that had evolved for war. Hanul grabbed Daiho's arm before he entered the ring. Your augmentations aren't at full strength. You're still damaged from the last battle. If you push too hard, I know, Daiho said quietly. But this isn't just about winning a fight. It's about showing the galaxy who we are. The combat began without ceremony. Voss charged like a battering ram using his superior size and strength. Daiho dodged, his augmented reflexes allowing him to move faster than any unenhanced human could. The fight was brutal. Voss's strikes could crush metal. Daiho's speed let him land dozens of hits for every one he took, but Voss could take damage that would kill most beings, while every hit on Daiho threatened to overwhelm his already damaged systems. The galaxy watched. The fight was broadcast across every coalition world, every station, every ship. Humans watched their champion fight for their honor. Other species watched to see if the Reaper was truly as dangerous as the stories claimed. Voss caught Daiho with a powerful strike that sent him crashing into the wall. Warning lights flashed on Daiho's cybernetic systems. Something had broken inside him. Blood ran from his mouth, you see? Voss roared to the watching galaxy. This is what happens when humans try to rise above their station. They break, they fall, they die. Daiho pushed himself up. His augmented eye flickered. His left arm hung at a wrong angle, but he was smiling. You're right, Daiho said, his voice rough. We break, we fall, we die. He stood fully, facing Voss despite his injuries. But we also get back up. That's what makes us human. We don't know when to quit. He attacked again, not with the speed he'd shown before, but with pure determination. Every strike hurt him as much as it hurt Voss. His damaged augmentations were failing. His human body was reaching its limits, but he didn't stop. Voss began to tire. His ancient armor, designed for short, brutal fights, was heavy. He had never faced an opponent who simply wouldn't fall. The human should have been dead 3 times over, but he kept coming. In the final moments, Daiho saw his opening. Voss was overextended, his guard down for just a second. Daiho put everything he had left into one strike, his damaged augmented arm moving in a blur. The hit caught Voss perfectly under his jaw in the one spot where Vren armor didn't cover. The Admiral fell. The chamber was silent. Then someone started clapping Sola. Then Taijin joined her. Then Hanil. Soon humans throughout the galaxy were celebrating. But more surprisingly, representatives from other species began to applaud as well. Even some who had voted against humanity in the past. They had watched a human fight beyond his limits. They had seen someone refuse to accept defeat even when it was certain. They had witnessed the human spirit in its purest form. Daiho stood over the fallen admiral. His augmented systems were failing. He was bleeding internally. His vision was fading. But he offered his hand to Voss, helping the Vren to his feet. You fought with honor, Daiho said. More honor than those who sent me to die at Helix Nebula. I hope your species remembers that honor matters more than fear. Voss looked at the human who had defeated him. For a moment, something like respect crossed his face. Then he bowed slightly, acknowledging defeat. The Council Arbiter stood. By the law of combat, the challenge is decided. The Vren fleet will withdraw. The conspiracy will be investigated fully. And Commander Kang Daiho is cleared of all charges. Daiho nodded once, then collapsed. His body had finally given out. Hanul rushed to him, along with medical personnel from a dozen species. They stabilized him, but everyone knew he would need extensive repairs to his augmentations. He had pushed himself far beyond safe limits. 3 weeks later, Deho woke in a medical facility on a human station. His augmentations had been repaired and upgraded by a team including Hanul and specialists from multiple species. The galaxy wanted to help the human who had proven that courage and determination mattered more than size or strength. Ambassador Myung was sitting beside his bed when his eyes opened. "Welcome back, Commander. Did we win?"